Hi everyone and welcome back to the Crafty Yellow Camper, and today I've got a card for you using the magical Meadow. We're not actually going to be using the stamp set today, we're just going to be using the dies, but I just wanted to show you this is the stamp set. We may use one of the sentiments actually. There's 3 nice sentiments, really nice script, and there's some elements. Now you might remember we had another Meadow stamp set that's in the annual catalogue, and this pairs really well with it if you wanted to mix and match. Right, so I'm just going to move the stamp set out of the way for now. I'm going to show you the card we're going to make. So there's quite a few dies that come with this. So I'm just going to move that card over. I'll just show you the dies to start with. Here they are. So you get 2 sheets of dies. So there are some dies that cut around the edge of the stamped images, so the sort of framelets, if you like, that go with the stamped images in the stamp set. There's also this cute little one that just cuts out or embosses. Actually, I don't think it does cut out. I haven't actually used this one yet. Oh, let's just pull that off there. Okay, yeah, this doesn't have a cutting edge on it, and as you can see from behind, there are no holes in it, so it just sort of embosses, I think, the pattern. I'll have to try that on another card and I'll make sure to show you. But the dies that we're going to use today, so these are the ones that cut out the stamps, the shapes of the stamps, and then there are these. So these are all standalone dies, so these cut out these shapes, but they don't match the stamp sets, they complement the stamp sets. So they're the 2 that we're using today are this one and this sort of pine needle one, but you get some really nice ones. I mean, this one's sort of I don't really know what that is, like I'm not really sure, some kind of bud. You get a holly leaf. This little die here cuts out lots of circles to go on here where the berries are, and then you get these sort of leafy ones. But these are the 2 that I'm going to use today. So I've already gone ahead and done the die cutting because most of you know how to use a die cutting machine, and you don't need to watch me cutting things out. For any of you that aren't confident with your die cutting machine, then please let me know and I'll be very happy to do a tutorial to talk you through how to use the die cutting machine. So the first thing we need is a base card, and I just realized I haven't cut a base card, so as if by the magic of television, no, that's not the right size. Let's just grab out a whole sheet of A4, and what I'm going to do is we are going to cut this crossways, but the first thing I'm going to do is score it. So I'm going to score it at 10.5, and then I'm going to cut it at 14.8, and that will give us two base cards. Okay, we only need 1 for the time being. That one will go to make another card. So that's that one. Let's put that back in there. So I'm just going to burnish the fold. So we've now got a card base that is 10.5 wide by 14.8 long. Okay, and then added to that, I've got a piece of basic white, and this is a standard matte layer. So this is cut at 10 centimeters by 14.3, and I've gone ahead and embossed this using the I want to call it Snowfall, but it's not. Using this Snowflake Sky. I think the one we had last year was called Snowfall. It's a really pretty embossing folder. It's got these little dots with the snowflakes, and it's more spaced out at the top than the bottom. So I've gone ahead and embossed it with that, and I'm going to mount that using some Tombow onto our base card. You really do need to use either wet glue or some extremely sticky tape to stick on embossed layers if you don't want them to lift off. Okay, I don't find tear and tape always does it. You really need something like our Seal Plus or in preference wet glue, because it gives you a little bit of wiggle room. Okay, so that's that on there. Now, when I first saw those dies, I thought to myself that they would make quite a nice sort of wreath effect. So I'm going to bring in the ones I've cut. Now, I've probably got more than I actually need here. But the other thing I found, I've divided them into 2 groups. So these are the sort of pine needly ones, and I've got some different colours in those. So I've got some Lost Lagoon, some Highland Heather, which matches our base card, and some Fresh Freesia, which is these. Okay, and then for the other die, the one that looks like it has the little berries on, I've gone ahead and I've cut those in the same colours, so Fresh Freesia, Highland Heather and Lost Lagoon, and we're going to make up our wreath. Now, because these are quite intricate dies, when you come to die cutting them, on the back of the die, you'll notice there are some holes, and those are to enable you to use a pokey tool to be able to push the die cut images out of the die. And it is always a good idea to go and release those so that you're not, I'm just going to grab them and show you, so that you're not ripping the die out, and that will mean that you get a better finish. So let me just show you on this one. So you'll see on the back here these dots. So if you just hold the die, use your pokey tool to push through. So we'll imagine I've got one in there. I've just knocked over my entire pot of stuff. Use your pokey tool just to push those through, and it will release your die cut image much easier. If you just do it at one end and yank it, you run the risk of breaking it. Okay. Right, so I also found out, because these are quite delicate, that you can manipulate them slightly to sort of bend them. So that's what I did with mine, is sort of manipulated the cardstock round. So just gently, because you don't want to rip it. But because cardstock has got a little bit of fibre to it, you can see, look, that's a straight one. And that's one that I've bent round a little bit. And that's what we're going to do with our first 4 that we're going to stick on. Now, on the card I made beforehand, I also included some bubble gum in there, which I haven't done this time. So I'm going for 2 Lost Lagoon and 1 each of the 2 purples, so the Fresh Freesia and the Highland Heather. And I'm just gradually manipulating those round before I start to stick. Okay. So again, we're going to use our trusty Tombow, but you really do only need a very small amount. Literally just a tiny dot. Now you could, if you're not very good at getting tiny dots of Tombow, what you could do is stick your paper, cardstock, that you're die cutting, to some of our adhesive sheets, die cut it, and then all you've got to do is peel the back off. And if I'd have given this a little bit more thought, I probably would have done that. I always forget I've got them. I probably ought to leave them somewhere a little bit more visible because they're tucked away in a drawer. Okay. But you can see you really do only need the tiniest amount, and you don't need to cover the whole thing because this is going to have another layer stuck down on top of it. Okay, so I'm going to start with our Lost Lagoon on the left hand side. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Okay, and I'm just pressing down where I put the glue. Okay, and then we're going to have, I think we'll go for a Fresh Freesia one at the bottom. And again, don't worry if you've got a few gaps at this stage, because we are going to do another round of the wreath, if you like. Okay, if you find that your fingers start to get gluey and you are getting attached to it, use your bone folder or the end of your the putty end of your take-a-pick tool to push it down. Okay, so you'll notice that I've got one facing up and one facing down in order to get our nice curve. And then I'm coming in with the last Highland Heather one. Okay, and I'm managing to cover up some of the stalks So this stalk, and this stalk I've covered up. This one is showing and we don't want it to show. So I'm just going to grab my snips and we're just going to take the end off that one. It's going to be covered up by another round, but I just don't want that stalk sticking out in plain sight. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to go around with some of the fancier ones, which have got the little places for a berry. And again, if you just gradually manipulate the cardstock round into a curve. Now, this time I'm going to add in 2 silver ones. So I've just got one of each of the colours. So I've got one of Highland Heather and one of Fresh Freesia that I'm manipulating round. Okay, and I'm going to pop some glue on the back. So these ones, the obvious places to put the glue is where the berries are. Because that's a nice circular position. They're evenly distributed over the shape. Okay, so I'm going to go in with this one first. Now these are going to go on the sides. So this one is going to go over this side. And just make sure it's not sticking out over the side of your card. And I've just realised I've actually put this on upside down. The die cut is upside down. It won't matter when we get the last couple of layers on. Right. There is a right side and a wrong side. So that's the right side and that's the wrong side. So let's put the glue on the right side, or the wrong side this time. It won't notice once we've put the last 2 pieces in. Okay, so just little dots of glue on where the berries would go. Okay, and we're just going to layer that over the top of the Lost Lagoon. Okay, and just give it a few minutes for it to stick. Okay, and then what I've done is I've cut one of each of those dies in some silver card. Okay, and again I'm just going to manipulate those round. Now this is cardstock as well as the colours, so it's got enough strength for you to manipulate it round. So that's the pine needly one, and then this is the one with the berries, and just gently manipulate it into a bit more of a curve. Okay, and then we're going to pop some glue on the back of these as well. So this is going to make our top and bottom section. Now I could have put another layer of the coloured cardstock on there, but when I did it originally it was too much. Okay, so this one is going to go around there on the bottom, and just sort of angle it so that you don't cover up all of your other colours. You want to be able to see them behind the silver. Okay, that's that one down, and then our last silver one is going to go on the top of the card. Doesn't really matter where you put them, whatever you prefer really is fine. Okay, just so happened this is the way it did it. Now what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to tuck this stalk end in, and I think that's why I went for this one at the top, because it gave me a little bit of room to do that. Okay, I'm just going to give that a press down, make sure that's stuck. Okay, and I'm just going to snip off the stalk on this one because I can't tuck it in. So just snipping that off. Get rid of that. Okay, and obviously you can cut these down into smaller sections Now, I've got some bits and pieces left here, but we're going to use those for another card. And then what I did was I came in with some Diamantes. I can find them. What have I done with them? Now, if I'd cut these in green, I would probably put red Diamantes on there. But because they're purples, I mean, obviously there is some Lost Lagoon on there, but they're predominantly purples. So I'm going to come in with some of our basic rhinestones. And I'm just going to pop those on, a few of those on, just to bling it up. Can't do Christmas and not have bling, can we? I'm not going to put them on the silver one. I'm just going to pop some of these on. Oh, they really don't want to come off today. Just going to pop some of these on the purple sections. I lost one up there somewhere. Where'd he go? There he is. Everybody has their own preferred method of getting these things off the sheet and onto your card. I tend to, oh goodness me, I tend to usually use my scissor blade. Right, so we've got two that side. We better put another one over this side. Try and get it balanced. But you always want odd numbers on a card, so we're just going to bring one more in and pop that there. So we've actually got 5 on the card. I know we've used 4 sprigs, but there we go. Okay, so that's that. I need to add some of those to my next order. I didn't realise I've got so low. Okay, so that's that. And then the final thing is a greeting. Now you could leave it like that, but I decided to put a greeting across mine. So I'm just going to grab a little piece of scrap basic white. And then I have used, what have I used? May this season of sparkle bring joy and delight. And that is, oh, that is actually out of the Magical Meadow stamp set. So when I said we weren't stamping, I told a little fib. I'm sure you'll all forgive me. Right, I'm just going to bring a block in and mount that up. And I'm going to grab some Highland Heather. I've actually got a huge, I did a class yesterday, so I've actually got a huge pile of ink on my desk at the moment. That one's Bubble Bath. I just realised I put the Versamark back in the wrong place in my ink storage. Anyway, let's have some Highland Heather. Okay, I'm going to start with a straight edge. And hopefully I've stamped that straight. Yep, that looks fairly straight. Just pop that ink pad away. Okay, then what I wanted to do was cut it out at an angle and then add a piece of the Highland Heather cardstock behind it. So I'm just grabbing a piece. So this is a good way of using up all your trimmings. So what I need to do first is to cut this out. So I'm just going to bring my trimmer back in. And I'm just going to take that piece off there. And then we will, I'm just allowing a little piece to cut. So which way did I go? Oh, I went the other way, didn't I? So personally, I find it easier to cut my white piece first. No, wrong way. No, I am going the right way. Yep. Am I going the right way? No, that way. Excuse me waffling. Okay, and then what you can do is stick that onto your colour and then cut it down again. I'm actually going to trim that down a little bit more. I want to get a little bit nearer the sentiment. Okay, let's take a little bit off there. I'm going to take a little bit more off here. And I am just doing this by eye. If you're the kind of person that's really, really got to have it straight, then use a punch or a die. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is stick that on to some cardstock. So again, I'm starting with a straight edge, and we're just going to get that on there, and then trim that off. And there's probably enough left on there to do another sentiment, so I'm just going to stick that back in the cardstock packet. I keep my scraps of cardstock in with the big packets. I just find it's easier. I know some people put them with have separate packets or separate folders, but I just find it easier. And then I'm just going to trim that off on the ends. Okay, and again, I've done that by eye. If you're really fussy about it, then do it with a die or a punch or something, but I always think handmade cards should look like they've been handmade to a certain extent. Okay, and we're just using up our edges again on our dimensionals. We don't need a ton of them. Just going to take the backs off. Okay, and then we're just going to put that across the middle of our wreath. I'm trying to avoid where I've stuck the gems. Probably should have done the gems last. Okay, and then all we need to do is put an insert in the middle. So again, I'm going to get the stamp set out for this, and I really like this stamp. This is the one that's the nearest to the die, the bigger die that we've used. Okay, and I'm going to stamp that inside with some fresh freesia, because that's one of the colours we've used on the front. So I'm just inking it up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp it there, full colour, and then turn it slightly and do a second generation stamp that's a bit paler, so that we can write over that. Okay, and then this is going to go into the middle of our card, so trusty Tombow again. So we've got our greeting on the front. We don't really need to have another greeting inside. I'd rather have that piece of decoration. And then I'm just going to open up our card, and that's going to go on the inside. Okay, there, and that's our card. So this is the one we started with. Oh, I always put my cards in cello bags for classes so they don't get spoiled, don't get grubby finger marks. That one's still got to have its middle in. This is the one we've just made. So I hope you like it, and I hope you'll give it a try. Please, if you do give it a try, feel free to put some pictures up on my Facebook page, which is also the Crafty Yellow Camper, because I'd love to see your interpretations of my cards. So, right, that's it for me for today, and I'll see you all again soon with some more Christmas cards. Thanks for watching, and happy stamping. Bye for now.